Long before the rise of modern cities, before the invention of banks and digital money, there stood a city carved from stone, built on gold, and ruled by wisdom: Babylon. It was one of the wealthiest cities in the ancient world, known not just for its towering walls and hanging gardens, but for the extraordinary wealth of its people. But what made them so rich? The secrets weren't buried in treasure chests or locked behind vaults. They were simple, powerful money principles passed down through generations. Lessons carved in clay tablets, shared in marketplaces, and taught by the richest man in Babylon himself, Arcade. In a time when most lived in poverty and struggled to make ends meet, Arcade rose to become the wealthiest man in the city, not because of luck nor inheritance, but because he learned how to master his money. His advice wasn't complicated. In fact, it was so simple that it worked not only for people thousands of years ago, but still works today. Whether you're a student, an employee, a business owner, or someone trying to get out of debt, these timeless lessons can completely change how you see money. They can help you escape the endless paycheck-to-paycheck cycle, build real wealth, and finally take control of your financial future. In this video, we'll break down 9 powerful money lessons from the richest man in Babylon. These lessons have helped millions around the world become smarter with their money, and now they're here to help you too. So sit back, grab a notebook if you'd like, because we're about to travel back in time to unlock the secrets of wealth from the golden streets of ancient Babylon. Text on screen fades in. 9 timeless money lessons from the richest man in Babylon. Background music. Suggestion: inspirational and cinematic, with ancient Middle Eastern tones. Oud, soft drums, flutes. Visual suggestions: aerial animation or cinematic render of Babylon. Tall ziggurats, palm trees, gold, and riverbanks. Merchants trading goods, a young man looking at gold coins, a wise man, Arcade, teaching students in a stone courtyard, dust particles and sunlight for a dreamy, ancient feel. The first and most important lesson that Arcade, the richest man in Babylon, taught was simple, yet life-changing. Pay yourself first. Most people work hard, earn their money, and then immediately spend it all on rent, food, clothes, fun, and endless bills. And at the end of the month, they're left with nothing. Sound familiar? But Arcade flipped this mindset completely. He said, a part of all you earn is yours to keep. That means before you pay anyone else, before you spend a single coin, you must pay yourself first. How? Set aside at least 10% of everything you earn, no matter how little or how much. If you earn 100 coins, save 10. If you earn 1,000, save 100. Do this consistently, and you'll be surprised how quickly your savings grow. This habit is powerful because it trains your mind to treat saving as a priority, not an afterthought. It builds discipline, and more importantly, it builds wealth. In the story, Arcade became wealthy not because he earned more than others, but because he learned to keep more of what he earned. And this simple principle still works today. You don't need to be rich to start. You just need to start. So, from your next paycheck, try this. Before you pay your bills, before you go shopping, set aside 10% just for you. Not for spending, not for treating yourself, but for building your future. Remember, the road to wealth doesn't begin with how much you make. It begins with how much you keep. Text on screen. Lesson 1. Pay yourself first. Save at least 10% of what you earn. Visual suggestions. A young man receiving coins, placing 1 out of every 10 into a leather pouch labeled My Future. Quick shots of coins stacking up over time, a contrasting scene of another person spending all and ending up with nothing. Calendar flipping pages, showing consistent saving. Now that you've started paying yourself first, what's the next step? Control your expenses. It sounds simple, but it's where most people fail. You might be thinking, I already don't earn enough. I can't save any more. But the truth is, our desires grow with our income. In Babylon, Arkad taught that people confuse needs with wants. The more they earn, the more they spend on luxuries, not necessities. They call them needs, but most are just wants disguised as needs. He said, what each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our income, unless we resist that temptation. So, how do you take control? Start by tracking where your money actually goes. You'll be surprised how much you spend on things that bring little value. Make a budget, be honest, set limits, prioritize what truly matters, and always remember, every coin you waste is a coin that could have helped build your future. In the story, Arkad helped a man who claimed he couldn't save anything. But after listing his expenses, he realized many were unnecessary. With some discipline, he freed up enough to start saving and eventually investing. You don't need to live like a monk, but you do need to make sure your spending doesn't steal your dreams. The richest people aren't always the highest earners. They're the ones who manage their money wisely. So next time you get paid, ask yourself, are you in control of your money, or is your money controlling you? Text on screen. Lesson 2. Control your expenses. Spend less than you earn. Visual suggestions. A man checking a list of daily expenses, food, rent, clothes, unnecessary items. Two paths, one filled with impulse spending, the other focused on careful budgeting, animation of a scale, on one side, needs, on the other side, wants, tilting as he makes better choices. Once you begin saving and controlling your spending, the next step is to grow your wealth, and the key to that is making your money work for you. In The Richest Man in Babylon, Arkady explained this concept through a powerful analogy. Money is like a worker, and just like a laborer earns more by working every day, your saved coins can earn more by being wisely invested. He said, gold in a purse is gratifying to own, but earns nothing. The coins we save are only the beginning. Real wealth comes when our money starts creating more money, even while we sleep. This is the magic of compounding and passive income, your money generating profit on its own. But Arkad warned, this only happens when money is invested wisely. In the story, one man saves for months and then gives all his money to a brickmaker who promises to buy rare jewels. The result? A total loss. Why? Because the brickmaker knew nothing about gems. The lesson? Don't just invest. Invest with knowledge. Let your money work under the guidance of someone experienced in that field, whether it's a small business, a rental, or a mutual fund. Always understand where your money is going and how it will grow. Money that works for you creates freedom. It gives you options. And eventually, it replaces the need to trade time for income. So don't just save and store your wealth. Let it grow, let it multiply, and over time, let it build the life you dream of. Text on screen. Lesson 3. Make your money work for you. Invest wisely and let it grow. Visual suggestions. Animated. Gold coins turning into more coins, symbolizing passive growth. A man giving money to a trusted merchant who returns with profits. A failed investment scene with the brickmaker, showing the cost of unwise decisions. A plant growing from a single coin, then turning into a tree full of gold coins. So far, we've learned to save, control our spending, and make our money work for us. But there's another powerful lesson that Arkad, the richest man in Babylon, taught. Always seek wise counsel. In the story, many people made the mistake of taking advice from friends, neighbors, or relatives, people who meant well, but had no real knowledge about money. As Arkad said, Advice is one thing that is freely given away, but watch that you only take advice from those qualified to give it. One man trusted a brickmaker to invest in precious stones. Another trusted a soldier to help with trade. Both lost everything. Why? Because they listened to the wrong people. Would you take medical advice from a farmer or legal advice from a blacksmith? Of course not. Then why take financial advice from someone who's never built wealth? The lesson is clear. If you want to grow financially, learn from those who have succeeded financially. Seek guidance from experienced investors, business people, mentors, or financial experts, not from those guessing their way through life. In modern times, this means reading books by financial experts, listening to entrepreneurs, or getting advice from professionals who've walked the path you're trying to take. Learn from their mistakes, so you don't have to repeat them. Wise decisions come from wise advice, and wise advice comes from those who have achieved what you want to achieve. So before you invest, ask yourself, am I listening to experience or just noise? Text on screen. Lesson 4. Seek wise counsel. Learn from those with real experience. Visual suggestions. A young man taking advice from a wealthy merchant, contrasted with taking bad advice from a gambler or brickmaker. A visual of two paths. One led by a wise elder, the other by a clueless friend, showing very different outcomes. A scroll unrolling with the quote, "He who takes advice from the inexperienced pays the price."